Hi everyone, my name is James. I am Area Vice President of Customer Success here at Impact.com. We've had some amazing content so far today. I'm really pleased to have a wonderful panel, or at least 2/3 of a panel, for you now. And we're going to explore a topic which I hope should resonate with pretty much everyone here. So the benefits of great inter-team collaboration are obvious. I think it's something that all businesses strive for. But it's not always that easy. And today we're going to look at how we can break down those internal communication silos that we often find ourselves in. So our industry has become pretty complex. It spans traditional affiliates, creators, brand-to-brand partnerships, customer referrals, to name just a few. And with so many partnership types, so many stakeholders involved, it's no wonder that we can very easily find ourselves stuck in a silo. Thank you for joining. Thank you. So I think a really great example of this is brand-to-brand partnerships. It's something that a lot of advertisers in our industry aspire to. And it kind of often goes like this, like as a brand, you find a potential brand to partner with. On paper, it makes total sense. You've got a great shared audience. And you get into it and then you realize the number of different stakeholders that are involved, all the different opinions that people have, all the levels of approval that are needed. And before you know it, you hit a brick wall. You're left frustrated and you're just not able to move that partnership forward. And I think that's just one example of the types of challenges that we all face day to day. But the good news is we've got a wonderful panel here today. And in 30 minutes or so, we're going to hear from these guys and get some actionable insights and tactics. Live from the experts who have tons of experience are going to share their guidance on how to overcome silos. Moving to Slido. Slido and silo kind of feel a little bit interchangeable, but if you have any questions along the way, please do use the QR code, fire some questions over, and we'll have time for those at the end. So by way of a quick definition, a silo is a business division or team that operates independently and avoids sharing information. So at this point, I'd like my panelists to introduce themselves and let me know if they agree or disagree with that definition. Lydia, over to you.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Lydia Perrin and I work as an affiliate specialist at B&Q, and that is across TradePoint and B&Q Ireland.
Hi everyone, I'm Glosna Goyce. I'm the APAC Affiliates and Performance Partnerships Manager at Skyscanner. So I've actually been in the industry for around 10 years now.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria. I am the User Acquisition Director at Bitpanda, so I look after performance, media, affiliates and partnerships, hence why I'm here, but also SEO.
Wonderful. So, very quick question to get us started. Quick example of where a silo has prevented you from getting a project or initiative off the ground. Glossy, come to you first.
Thank you, James. So on this question, I would actually like to talk about experience in my previous company, where I actually lost a high-value partner because of a silo with the email team. The email team actually did not want to work with us on this particular partnership because they didn't think it was a priority on them and they didn't find any value on that, even though this could have possibly actually boosted their engagement rate and also their subscriber base. But at the end of the day, we actually managed to learn how we can work together for future partnerships, which I'll get to at a later stage. But yeah.
Perfect. Lydia, quick one from you.
Yeah, we've definitely experienced this when trying to onboard new partners to our program. Specifically, more recently, we had this come up with a CSS partner and trying to get one initially onboarded on our program. We faced some initial concerns specifically from our paid search team, but through a very collaborative relationship, we have now been able to onboard them, but I can touch on that a little bit more in detail later on.
Cool. So the broader challenge or challenges, what are they? Maria, what do you think the common industry silos are, the things that are going to affect most people here?
Yeah, thanks, James. So I think when it comes to affiliates, right, we touch so many teams and we have so many different stakeholders. We work with legal, we work with translations, creative, finance, design, every other team out there. So we're super prone to experiencing silos because we work with so many stakeholders. I think there's three main ones I've noticed, and I think they're also the most damaging ones. So the first one, I'll start with the one that's closest to home, is affiliates and influencers. And I think even though they should be working really closely together, typically they're not. The second one, I think it's with marketing and product. So not only affiliates, but generally the entire marketing field, I think it's experiencing that silo. And the third one is specifically with affiliates and customer service. I think sometimes there's a lot of disconnect there, where we've launched something, we haven't communicated it. Obviously, people are getting in touch with customer service. They've not been briefed properly. And I think those are the three most common ones, but also most damaging ones.
And what about like the perception of the industry as a whole? Glossy, is that in itself a bit of a silo?
Yeah, it actually is, because James just talking about my experience. I've actually worked in a good few companies right now, and all of them I've always had to fight about what the affiliate marketing channel actually does. And there's a miscommunication or, a misperception of what the affiliate channel actually does. And we're always known as the cashback and the voucher channel, which is unfortunate because we know that we do a lot more than that. We work on email partnerships, we work on PR, we work with advocacy, and all this actually involves collaboration between internal teams that we all are aware of. There's also a lack of internal education about what the affiliate channel actually does. And this in itself can reinforce what a silo actually is, right, within the industry. So in my experience, I would say open communication as well as just highlighting what the affiliate channel does with your internal stakeholders is really key. Within Skyscanner as well, I just want to touch upon this a little bit. We are a global company and we work with regional teams. And me specifically, I work in the APAC team. So we have our own key stakeholders within the region, our own processes, our own, language barriers, everything, goals as well. And that in itself is an internal silo. And what we try to do is we try to foster collaboration between all the regions that we work with to navigate these complexities on our end. But yeah.
Great. So, obligatory audience question. Can we get a show of hands for anyone who has found themselves restricted by a silo in the last 12 months? So anyone who's been blocked from doing a project initiative because of another team? I was expecting every hand to go up, I'll be honest. Maybe not as big a problem as we thought. So I think the kind of transition from that is that it's not always easy to know that you are in a silo. It's maybe not till quite far down the line that you're like, wow, this isn't progressing, kind of have to take a step back and figure out what's gone wrong. So Lydia, what are some key signs to help you recognize that actually you are in a silo?
Yeah, I think a really big one is kind of acknowledging the amount of stages you have to go through in order to, for example, implement that change or onboard that partner. That could be whether you're going back and forth with your legal team or maybe another team in the business, and kind of just that length of time it's taking to make that change. I think also potentially receiving some hostility from other teams or a real lack of communication and collaboration are some real key signs that you are finding yourself in a silo.
Maria, anything to add to that?
I think Lydia was quite exhausted, so I'll keep mine short, but just being constantly surprised, right? Like, are you finding about things post factum? Are things taking too long? I think those are obviously clear signals.
Okay, so maybe let's talk a little bit about when you guys have successfully broken down the barriers of inter-team communication, when we've actually overcome this. Lydia, I'll come to you because I know you kind of started at the beginning talking about the situation with partners that you did actually manage to overcome. Yes,
very gratefully managed to overcome that issue. So we formed a really strong collaborative relationship. We're able to break that silo with onboarding the CSS partner. And how we kind of did that, just a very small breakdown, is we proposed a small test on a 3-month basis, and we actually asked the team for their input. So this was the paid search team, and they recommended a low-risk category, which for us at B&Q was the tools and hardware category, very on brand. And then once the 3 months were up, we reviewed the performance, and that showed it was a really big benefit, not just to our channel, but across the business. And it had no impact on the paid search team. So as a result of that, we were able to broaden what the CSS partner was able to work on. They now work across all of our products, and we're doing that on another 3-month trial. So we can now have a full idea and representation of the true performance. And yeah, just maintaining that continued communication with our paid search team. So it's been a really big unlock for us. And then I also just want to very briefly touch on kind of breaking that silo on the creator side of things. So within affiliates, we have a creator program. Our social team were also running influencer activity, and this was kind of running separately up until around 18 months ago. And we kind of came together and felt it was both a waste of resource and budget to be producing creator content with separately, 2 different types of content. We have slightly different KPIs. Within the affiliates, ours sits more around revenue and that web traffic, whilst the social teams was more around engagement and building their following. But actually, by working collaboratively on the briefing process, the review of creators and their content, we actually are now at the stage where we produce one bank of content, not just that sits within affiliates and social, but that now sits within a wide range of channels throughout the business. So that's been a really, really strong development in terms of the relationship there.
I think the kind of cross-channel, inter-channel angle is a really interesting one. So kind of sticking with that, Maria, Bitpanda have been really successful in bringing together influencers and affiliates kind of into the same team. For all the affiliate managers in the room that are maybe striving to do that, what advice do you have to them? What business case do they need to make internally to make that happen?
Yeah, so just to make it perfectly clear, I don't think it's the right fit for every business, but if you are a performance-focused business, it's probably the right fit, right? And I think in terms of business case, right, I think we look at it at 2 different perspectives. Maybe there are affiliate managers in the room who actually, they don't run any influencer marketing at all. So that's one side, right? If you don't run influencer marketing at all, start small, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a cliche, but it's true. Actually, at Bitpanda, we only started initially with 2 or 3 creators. And that, we saw the results on the back of it. We built the business case slowly to the business of why we should really put a little bit more focus on creators, why they're important part of the mix as well, why, obviously, a lot of them are not cheap as well, right? They come with a substantial budget that you need to request from the business. But once you have that proof of concept, the business case is almost made, right? So you need 1 or 2 creators to work really well to build that business case for you. And then we have the other case where you already have affiliate marketing, you already have influencer marketing, but they're sitting in 2 separate teams. And I think that's a little bit different in terms of, right, already the business sees the value in influencers already. So that's already there. And I think that bridge has already been crossed. But I think that should be focused more around all the transferable skills and knowledge, right? All that is lost. Are there any efficiencies that can be had if they sit in the same team? What about economies of scale, right? I think there is generally a lot of efficiencies that can be had when they sit within the same team. Even if it's something as simple as briefing a raffle, a competition, or some form of incentive, whether you're briefing it to your affiliates or to your influencers, is pretty much the same process. Equally, something has worked really well in with this partner. Let's test it with that partner as well, right? So I think that business case should be focused more around the economies of scales, the efficiencies, and the transferable knowledge that is lost when those 2 teams are not communicating and are not sitting together.
That efficiency kind of theme seems to run through when talking about different channels coming together. Glossy, I know that Skyscanner have very recently kind of ventured into the world of sports sponsorship, and there's a lot that partnerships are supporting in that respect, but I know that that's brought together loads of internal and external teams within your business. Could you kind of tell us a little bit about how that's worked and come together?
Yeah, yes, of course, James. So as Skyscanner, we actually have just rolled out Soham Cup partnership, which is going to go live in Q4. It's a US partnership, and that actually involves a lot of key stakeholders, and it's led by the affiliate team, which is one of the first, and we're very proud of that. Actually, we actually see that as a big milestone. So within Skyscanner, it is a company that actually fosters collaborations, and it's not all easy. Obviously, we do come across challenges, but what we did with the Soham Cup partnership in general was we took a step back, looked at the user journey, looked at which are the internal teams that can benefit from actually participating in this partnership. So would it be email, would it be influencer, PR, legal as well, you'd be surprised, brand, all those teams that we could actually benefit and actually explain to them what the value would be to actually participate in this Soham Cup partnership as well. So what we also did was we ensured that we had regular catch-ups with them. So we have this massive sheet that we have regular catch-ups weekly, bi-weekly with the internal key stakeholder as well as with the partner, so that everyone's happy, which is difficult. But at the same time, we very importantly track. So use an impact tracking wherever possible so that all the success of this partnership is actually measurable. That's what we actually did, and that's where we actually seen success with this partnership. So Soham Cup internally is actually used as a benchmark, which we can actually use for other partnerships within our team.
I mean, I think it's amazing that an event as big as the Solheim Cup is being led internally by the affiliate channel. I think that kind of speaks volumes. So when you're actually having to face working with other teams and people that you don't work with very often, what is the best way to identify the team or the person? Is it always the most senior person that you should go to? Maria, how do you approach that in Bitpanda?
I think you're coming to me because I have strong opinions.
I know you have very strong opinions on this.
Yeah, so definitely not always the most senior person. I think you need to align the skill set to the task, right? Yeah. And seniority, it's okay to pull in senior people, of course, if they have the best skill set for the project or the initiative or the task at hand. But they should be pulled in when they add most value. So definitely, I think it's really, really important when you're choosing who to lead a project to do it based on skill set rather than seniority.
Yeah, I think when we were planning this, that was speaking to all of you guys, that kind of came across, that just going to the most senior person can actually be quite counterproductive.
Yeah.
Lydia, anything from a B&Q perspective that you can add there, working across different teams?
I'd say communication. It's probably a bit of a buzzword, but that is pretty an essential for us. I think and to kind of echo what's already been said, whether you put a project plan together, make sure you have the right people on board from the start, including them in all meetings, also taking on board any concerns they may have and trying to see what you can do to maybe reassure them or implement those concerns to make it a really collaborative process. I would also say leading by example. I think it's very easy to be kind of consumed by the work you're doing within your team, but I think it's a big reminder that you do all work for the same business. You want the business you work for to do well. So I think that's always really important to remember and almost take yourself out of the work you're doing day-to-day basis.
So I just want to switch to kind of maybe a bit more of a partner perspective. I think for a lot of the partners in the room, they will find themselves kind of stuck in a silo when they're trying to work with brands. Particularly if they haven't worked with them before, if they're trying to do something new. Glossy, when you have prospective partners approaching you at Skyscanner, what's the best way for them to kind of cut through and get progress?
On this, I think at Skyscanner, I want to say that we have various products. So it really depends on what the actual goal is. So when it comes to the partner, we always request them to let us know what's the benefit of actually working with them. What's the goal of this partnership? So what that actually does is it actually helps us to identify who the right key stakeholders are internally for this particular partnership. The second thing that we actually do is also please mention timelines so that if there's a specific timeline you actually want to work towards for a specific partnership, what that helps us do is actually prioritize it internally on our end so that we can help you, make it a success, basically. And the lastly would be come with a collaborative approach, so that we can ensure a smoother process to work together as well as a successful partnership, which we all want. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Maria, anything for partners to kind of be aware of?
I think as radical as it sounds, just speak to people, right?
Yeah.
I think we're so caught up in using like this tool and that tool. At least this is the way it works at Bitpanda. A lot of things are quite programmed where they run themselves in a way, right? Like you submit a ticket to legal and legal kind of, right, a bot sends it to a person and that person does and they approve it or disapprove it and then it goes to procurement, etc. down the line. And then you almost can go through finalizing the ticket without speaking to anyone and have something signed off. And I think that's the case with whatever platform you're using internally. There's a lot of automation built into our everyday lives at this point. And sometimes I'll have someone from the team come to me, escalate something like, okay, this is going to be delayed. And I'm like, okay, why, what's happening? And they're like, well, legal are not picking it up. And I'm like, okay, have you spoken to them? No. Well, so speak to people, right? And I think you can cross a lot of bridges by just reaching out and saying, hey, I know that you're really busy, but do you mind looking at this? And they'll never tell you no, basically. I've never had anyone say no. Everyone's always really helpful. And second, I think what's really important is to realize that what's necessarily a priority for you, it's not a priority for someone else, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of contracts coming to legal, a lot of invoices coming to finance from all different teams. So make them understand it's a priority, work with SLAs, again, speak to them, right? Explain why is it important or why do you need a favor to fast track it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how the, kind of fostering those relationships internally can buy you a little bit of favoritism that can kind of move things along. Talking of which, we're nearly at time. So final question for all of you guys. Kind of tactics, what tangible advice can we give to everyone here to overcome the silos that they might find themselves in? Lydia, we'll come to you first.
Yeah, I think if you definitely find yourself in a silo, it's a good recommendation of mine would maybe be to take a step back, review your strategy and see if it's worth suggesting maybe a lower risk trial. That can be whether you're running something on a shorter term basis, 3 months, or it's lower risk. So as I mentioned with the CSS partner, we trialed it with one of our lower risk categories, just in order to get that buy-in from other teams who may be, slightly concerned about the work you're trying to do or preventing some kind of block.
We'll go down the line.
Yeah, sorry. I think for me, I would like to cover 3 things. The first thing would be education is key. So make sure that you're actually speaking, like Maria and Lydia said, speaking to your team, speaking to the internal stakeholders, making them understand what is the benefit of them actually working with the affiliate channel and how it's actually going to benefit them. Very important, it has to align to the company goals because otherwise no one's going to help you, right? And why are you even doing this project in the first place? So yeah, coming down to strategy as well. And the second thing would be alignment is king. So have those regular catch-ups with your internal key stakeholders and with your partners as well. And number 3 is data. So data is very important. At the end of the day, we are a performance channel and everything comes down to results. So add those impact tracking links everywhere. I feel like I work for impact right now. So, but yeah, add those impact tracking links everywhere so that everything's actually measurable. Because for our team specifically, that's very important for us to actually measure success. But yeah.
Needless to say, obviously, I agree with all the points and they've covered a lot of ground already. But if I can add anything, would be learn a little bit of the lingo the other teams use, right? Like referring back to my initial silos that I mentioned around product. I think a lot of silos within marketing and product or affiliates and product or on the back of like us as marketers sometimes having like a mental barrier to communicate with product. And I don't think it's skill-based. I think it's purely mental of thinking like, okay, like this is really complicated. It's engineering. Like I don't know how I'm going to sit down and brief something into them or how I'm going to answer their questions. And I think like a little bit goes a long way. Obviously, we don't need to become engineers or product managers, but just learning a little bit of their lingo or even showing interest in what they're doing goes a really long way. I think with product managers, if you sit down with them and you tell them, okay, look, I have no understanding, but I would love to understand. How can I breathe better into you? Requirements of any tracking I might need, any integration I might need. How can I help you, like, right? Do you also like help you do your job and make your life easier? Everyone would appreciate it, right? And they'll be happy to also give you like 101 or like a really quick walkthrough, kind of how to do that better, right? And I think that's the case as well with like all the other teams. Like I think the barrier is mainly mental rather than a skill set one.
Amazing advice, guys, from all of you. We've got a couple of questions come in. I'm just going to ask one because I can see Owen hovering to wrap this up, I think. Lydia, this might be best suited for you because the question is, how do you balance budgets and strategies between online and in-store sales in your affiliate marketing, and what challenges arise in integrating those channels?
That is definitely something
So, yeah,
I can struggle with, but then
Yeah.
definitely working at B&Q. And actually going back to the whole topic of a silo and working with other teams, we sometimes do rely on other channels' data to support that. That includes our search team. But we are looking to implement more geo-tracking within the affiliate space for our channel as well, just so we've got a better idea of how we are driving that footfall into store as well as for DIY.com, our website.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually working collaboratively with other teams, seeing what resources they have that benefits us, and I think can benefit a lot of other affiliate teams, and also seeing, in our case, impact.com, what facilities they have available to help that as well.
Amazing. Thank you. I kind of put you on the spot there. The only retailer that has physical stores.
We do.
Cool. That's it. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. I hope you found that useful. Round of applause for these guys.